Almost 20 years ago, this year, two jets were launched into the Twin Towers in New York City. Those jets brought down those Twin Towers, and as you can see from this display here, it launched us into two wars, into Iraq and into Afghanistan. They were devastating for all Americans at that time. I know where I was, and many of your parents know where they were. They can tell you exactly what happened on that day. It was, for many Americans, our modern Pearl Harbor. A few months later, in October of 2001, American forces were sent into the country of Afghanistan looking for Osama bin Laden. American forces would launch into Iraq on March 19th, 2003, into an invasion of Iraq against forces of Saddam Hussein. Saddam at that time had the fourth largest army in the world. American forces would make a drive into Baghdad and defeat his forces. And we would occupy that country until 2010. Today we are still in Iraq and Afghanistan with a loss of over 4,000 American and coalition forces, and it would cost us trillions of dollars. Today we have a display here in the museum that I'd like to talk to you a little bit about. Much in this display, in this exhibit, shows you a little bit about not only 9/11, but also some of the Marines, Army, sailors, and airmen that have served within that country and that region. One of the things we have on display here is an actual, what looks like a stone from actually the Twin Towers in New York City. It was fused from the rubble and brought here and put on display. We also have up here on the wall is a 10th anniversary mural that was signed by everyone that was present for that 10th anniversary display up here at the mall. Some of the other things that we have on display from the 9/11 memorial are a couple of coins that we have here in our coin display. But let's talk a little bit about Afghanistan and Iraq and some of the things that we do have. Culturally, if you look around our display here, we have the flag of Afghanistan up on the wall. Another thing we have here is a prayer rug, because remember, Afghanistan is a Muslim country. And so when you do come here to look at the display, it's one of the things that you need to look at is a prayer rug. Also, we do have prayer beads that are very important for the Muslims when they do pray. Another thing that we have here is some of the artwork from Afghanistan and some of the shawls that they do wear, as well as the headgear that the Afghans wear. Iraq itself, you can also see some of the things that the different Marines and soldiers have left us to display here, such as uniforms. And in our display case here, we have a lot of our patches, books, and other things from that war. One of the things I want to point out deep in here is the calendar from Afghanistan. The calendar is based upon a solar calendar, not like our calendar here. So it actually starts in March and goes until the following March. That calendar is only for 28 days, not like our calendar here. After the invasion in Afghanistan in October of 2001, American forces with the 10th Mountain Group were sent in to help with the Afghan army in trying to follow up and capture Osama bin Laden. They were not successful. What we later on found out was his stronghold in Tora Bora, he had escaped and made his way down into Pakistan. American forces continued to go into the country though and establish other bases around the country, not only in the north into Mazar Sharif, but also in Kabul and down into the Kandahar province. It continued for several years until our forces built up several main bases. Now, when I got there later on in the war, in about 2010, one of my missions was to help with the Afghan National Civil Order Police, which was one what we called element of the police. And there were several elements of the police. The police mission in Afghanistan was to help with internal security because the Taliban was still a pretty robust force, and they were still fighting against not only the Afghan army, police, but also they were also fighting against many of the civilian population. So America's since in coalition since we've been in Afghanistan has worked a lot with the Afghan government to make sure that the country has been secure. So me personally, I spent a year over there as a senior NATO advisor in 2010 to 2011, making sure that I was equipping, making sure that they had enough food and water so that we could maintain that security effort in Afghanistan. That was a very difficult job because I have to deal with government entities on the Afghan side and also with government entities on the coalition side. And when I talk about coalition, I mean coalitions such as British, Australian, German, Italian, Dutch, all these different governments that were contributing to the effort over there to stabilize and make Afghanistan safe. And it was a harrowing mission, but it was successful while I was over there. Now, on the Iraqi side, when I was over there, I first got over there in Iraq in 2004. While I was over there, things were extremely unstable. We had gone into Iraq in March of 2003. Things were pretty stable when we had first gotten over there, but it began to unravel right about the spring of 2004. Things didn't look too good. In fact, there were 4 civilian contractors that had gone into a town called Fallujah, and while they were there, they were surrounded and they were captured, killed, and hung from a bridge. The Marines went into Fallujah in a major battle and to get the bodies back. And after that, things pretty well unraveled throughout the country, and a major insurgency occurred. So when I got over into Iraq in the summer of 2004, we were taking major casualties. And my mission in Iraq, when I first got over there, was to work with something called the Iraqi Special Police Commandos. I was a senior advisor to them. And what the commandos would do, because they worked for the Minister of the Interior, what the Minister of the Interior was, he was in charge of all security throughout the country on the police side. He needed a force that was intelligence-based, that he could send in to different towns and locations that would fight the insurgents at a moment's notice and that were completely loyal to him. And we would go in and secure locations, saturate an area with these commando-type forces, and we were extremely successful that period that I was over there. After I left, though, the insurgency got worse and worse until about 2007, when General Petraeus went back over and the surge began. And what the surge was is the American forces took a gamble, and the president at that time, President Bush, took a gamble and he sent more troops in. What happened during the surge was it did stabilize the country, and we were successful over there until the major pullout at the end of December of 2010. Now, we are still in Iraq today with a very, very small force of coalition, and it looks like we'll be pulling out of there soon. We've actually been in both countries for just about 20 years, and there is talk within the government now that we will be pulling out soon. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we have been at war over there for almost 20 years since 9/11. Hopefully, within the next few years, we will be out of both locations. But we'll see what's going to have to happen. But, within your lifetime, let's hope that there's not more wars. Anyway, thank you.